Thanks for coming back and joining us today, Easter Saturday. After yesterday's story, after yesterday's video, maybe you'd be forgiven for not coming back. It was pretty bleak, wasn't it? In one sense, Jesus dying on the cross. As we saw yesterday, that's a great thing for us. It gives us forgiveness. It makes us right with God. And yet, we know that in light of Easter Sunday, tomorrow, when we celebrate Jesus coming back from the dead, succeeding and bringing hope of new life with him. But just for a couple of moments, let's think about what Easter Saturday would have been like for those early disciples. We're going to read the next part of John chapter 19, verse 31 to 42 now. And as you do, just imagine you're there. Imagine you followed Jesus for 3 years. Imagine you've seen him perform amazing miracles, from turning water into wine, to feeding 5,000 people on a hilltop with just a few loaves and fishes. Imagine you were on a boat and you saw Jesus walk towards you on the water. Imagine you were with him when he healed people. Imagine you were with him when he brought people back from the dead. Is there anything you think Jesus couldn't do? And then imagine that yesterday you were on a hilltop and you were watching your teacher, your friend, your Lord, your God, nailed to a cross, executed, and you watched him die. Let's read John 19 with that in mind.
Now it was the day of preparation, and the next day was to be a special Sabbath, because the Jewish leaders did not want the bodies left on the crosses during the Sabbath. They asked Pilate to have the legs broken and the bodies taken down. The soldiers therefore came and broke the legs of the first man who had been crucified with Jesus, and then those of the other. But when they came to Jesus and found that he was already dead, they did not break his legs. Instead, one of the soldiers pierced Jesus' side with a spear, bringing a sudden flow of blood and water. The man who saw it has given testimony, and his testimony is true. He knows that he tells the truth, and he testifies so that you also may believe. These things happened so that the scripture would be fulfilled. Not one of his bones will be broken. And as another scripture says, they will look on the one they have pierced. Later, Joseph of Arimathea asked Pilate for the body of Jesus. Now Joseph was a disciple of Jesus, but secretly, because he feared the Jewish leaders. With Pilate's permission, he came and took the body away. He was accompanied by Nicodemus, the man who earlier had visited Jesus at night. Nicodemus brought a mixture of myrrh and aloes, about 35 kilograms. Taking Jesus' body, the two of them wrapped it with the spices in strips of linen. This was in accordance with Jewish burial customs. At the place where Jesus was crucified, there was a garden, and in the garden a new tomb in which no one had ever been laid. Because it was the Jewish day of preparation, and since the tomb was nearby, they laid Jesus there.
It's hard, isn't it? Without knowing the good news of Easter Sunday, Easter Saturday becomes very, very dark. The darkest day. And I think we can give the disciples a hard time on occasion. Oh, they should have known what would happen. Jesus told them he would rebuild the temple in 3 days. They should have known. And yet what we've got here is a lot of young, broken people who were devastated. What a loss Jesus must have been. So let's not be too quick to judge. Easter Saturday is a hard day. You've just seen Jesus dead, and now you're seeing him buried. So what do? Well, scared of persecution, we know that they went and locked the doors of the upper room. They hid from the world. Probably scared that they would be persecuted for their faith in Jesus. And while we shouldn't be too harsh, you can't help but make the parallels to Peter a few days ago, can you? So scared of having the same persecution as Jesus, who was being tortured and on trial next door. He denied Jesus 3 times. Now with Jesus dead, his followers are retreating back into the shadows, hiding, scared of facing the same. It's a dark day. It's a day that looks empty of hope. And although as Christians we don't dwell on the dark because we know the light, it is important to remember that actually, if Jesus is dead, if the Lord of life is no more, we are to be pitied. But there's good news. I don't want to give the game away, I think I already have, but I think you should already know what we celebrate on Easter Sunday. But for today, why don't we just stop and think, what would the world be like without Jesus? Maybe that's one to ask your friends or your family. What would the world actually be like without Jesus? Thankfully, we don't have to find out. And come back tomorrow, Easter Sunday, where we'll have a short video celebrating why that is. I'll see you then.